You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Friday, July 23rd virtual show. Because of COVID, our show is temporarily moved virtually. You can catch us on air Saturday at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 p.m. Also, you can catch us on a podcast. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are your local mortgage experts, and we're here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Gazala, Uradnik of GFS Events, nonprofit events, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right here at 1150 AM KKNW. Gazala, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Tina. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And a little bit about Gazala before we get into her interview. She started GFS Events in 2012 because she knew that nonprofits needed help through her own nonprofit board and volunteer experience. She is an entrepreneur at nature, and starting her own business was natural progression of her goals and skills. GFS Events provides strategic event planning, expertise to nonprofits through focused event strategy, logistics coordination, mission messaging, and audience and donor development. Over the last 8 years, her team has helped countless nonprofit organizations raise millions of dollars throughout the Puget Pacific Northwest. GFS Events has received numerous awards for Best Nonprofit Event and Best Public Event through the International Live Events Association. Gazala also serves as a board member for the International Live Events Association. And I have to say, I know Gazala from a networking organization that we're both part of. And I was so impressed to see that no virtual events at all that you were doing to instantly, it seemed overnight that you completely changed your entire platform and your team to really help the nonprofit organizations that more than ever with what's happening right now need you. So I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That was definitely the case. We had 9 events scheduled in March. And so really March 1st, we changed everything and turned every single one of those events into a virtual event over the course of the spring, as well as those events that were in April and May as well. So we have currently 10 virtual events under our belt, and then we have 20 more events planned for the fall that will go virtual.
Wow, you are a busy lady. Holy smokes. Let's start out with this, Gazala. How long have you had your business for?
So I have been in business for 8 years. I started it in 2012 and really just knew that I wanted to help nonprofits, wanted to help fundraise. Most people don't think that fundraising is fun. That's kind of the joke, that there is no fun in fundraising. But I actually enjoy it quite a bit. And one of, I think, the most rewarding things is getting one of our nonprofit clients to their goal. And then even this past spring, I think there was a lot of worry as to whether we were going to even reach some of these fundraising goals. And we've actually gotten some of our nonprofit clients to 110% past their goal. So it's definitely, it's a very rewarding and fulfilling profession, I feel that I'm in.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that it's really important for a business to be hyper-focused on a target and a perfect market for them. And it's impressive as an events coordinating company that you actually singly focus on nonprofit organizations. So what is the why behind that in your company representing events for nonprofit?
Good question. So I knew I never wanted to do a wedding or plan any kind of corporate events. I've always been in the nonprofit field. I started off in healthcare and working in strategic development and business development on the hospital side. And so hospitals are one of the largest nonprofit institutions, and so have always had that focus of mission. And when it came time to kind of venture out and do my own business, I originally thought about working directly for a specific nonprofit and realized pretty quickly that I wanted to be out on my own and getting someone, an organization to their goal and surpassing it is really one of the things I enjoy the most. So that's kind of how it developed. And events are an area that most nonprofits do once a year. So they have a really hard time with figuring out, how do I do this? How do I make this work? How do I take the stress out of it? And we can help with all of those things.
Good for you, Gazala, for going out on your own. I mean, it tells a lot about you as a person, and you have to be pretty brave to go out there and take things on your own. So congratulations on that. And I give you much respect for doing that. You were mentioning events. Let's talk a little bit about that. What kind of events do you typically host?
So we do a variety of different types. We do a lot of auctions. I don't know if either Keelan or Tina, you've been to an auction. They're super fun. They're always exciting. So auctions are, I think, one of the most favorite events that we put on. We also do more of a traditional breakfast or luncheon where you come in and you can, write your donation down on an envelope and turn that in. So we do a lot of those types of events. Some of my favorites are, we have one that's a 5K walk and run that we've done for the last few years for the Seattle Animal Shelter Foundation. And that's a really super fun event. So we also do walks and runs that raise money. And then another really fun event is golf tournaments. So we have a celebrity golf tournament that we do each year, which actually took place last week. And fortunately, there was no golf tournament. It was all virtual. But we do pretty much anything that will raise money for a nonprofit, we'll take on. So conferences as well.
Yeah, and I mentioned at the start of our conversation here, just being able to see kind of a little bit behind the scenes, but not really, and how you transition so quickly, which is really important because nonprofit organizations need a company that's going to coordinate and manage these events that have a high level expertise in doing that, but even more so in the virtual space. Now, I know that your company has helped nonprofit organizations make a lot of money to help continue support their why and what they're trying to do for the community. So let's talk a little bit about the money side and what you've been able to help them earn over the last 8 years.
Yeah, we have had clients that are very large. We've done events that are, over 3,500 to 5,000 people in size, and raised, million plus. We've also helped a lot of the little guys out there and raised, for some nonprofits, raising even $30,000 a year is important. So over the course of the last 8 years, I would say we've probably raised over 10 million in dollars for our clients.
That is beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. And, nonprofits, what a great, all of them have a fantastic cause, no matter what it is. So the impact that you're having on our world is huge. So good for you on that. I mean, it's got to be really rewarding. I mean, what part of your job do you love the most?
I would say the actual event itself, which, has been obviously a little bit difficult this year in 2020. But I think the event itself and doing all the details. So there's a lot of organization, a lot of detailed work, a lot of logistics and planning that goes into it. And seeing it all come together on the night of is super rewarding. And I think when I see a client just so excited or relieved or just saying like, wow, we could never do this again if we didn't have you, that makes it all worthwhile.
So obviously, once you've worked for one of your nonprofit organizations, I mean, they're not going to look back. It makes absolutely no sense to not have somebody coordinate their one big, huge event that they have. What else, and maybe that people that are listening today that are part of nonprofit organizations that maybe haven't hired an event coordinator before because they're concerned about the investment of doing that, share the things that you actually do and how that's really netting them so much more money in the end.
Yeah, I think one of the things that sets us apart from, say, your average event planner is that we are coming into the nonprofit organization with that development perspective. So like a development director, looking at all of the pieces of your event and what are ways we can raise you money. So there's a lot of strategy behind it. It's not just picking out the color of the linens and what the backdrop will look like on the stage, although that is super fun to do. We really do concentrate on getting the right donors in the room and making sure that we've got everything in place for them to raise the most money possible.
Yeah, and that's a key part of it, because you may not think about that actually helping with getting the sponsors in initially. So all of the planning beforehand, even before once you get to the event and you have that live auction. So yeah, that's great.
Gazala, why, or I should say, I'm sure there's plenty of listeners out there that are extremely excited about you and what you've done. $10 million is a crazy sum of money that you've brought to some of these nonprofits. So how do these excited listeners get a hold of you?
So one of the best ways to do that is to go to our website, which is gfsevents.org. And you can actually schedule a 30-minute consultation. We're happy to just talk to any nonprofit that's just even wondering, how do I take my event virtual? What do I do for the future? I want to plan something. So getting that 30-minute consultation is a great way to do that. We're also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, GFS Events.
So as we wrap up our time here with our last minute, I would love to end our conversation with a crazy event story.
So I have one that's kind of funny. This was a couple of years ago. It's the Seattle Animal Shelter Foundation Furry 5K, which takes place in Seward Park. Our whole team is all decked out in our lovely orange vests, and we've got our radios in hand. And there's a lot of police cars that are starting to come into the park. And I hear on the radio, there is a man with an axe roaming the park and is on the same route as all of the runners. And so our team had to very calmly figure this out, get on the radio, find our route guys, and get this nice gentleman with his axe off of the route. So that, within like 10 minutes or less. So we figured it out and we managed to do it.
It kind of reminds me of the wedding planning movie. You just have no idea what you guys are actually doing to coordinate and make sure everything goes well, and what surprises can pop up that actually can be a big damper on events. You got to save the day. Gazala, thank you so much again for joining us on our show here today. Look forward to having you back, and we'll have to bring one of your nonprofit organizations in studio and showcase what they're doing. I would love to do that.
That'd be great. Thanks, Tina. Thanks, Keelan.
All right, coming up next on the Money Hour, melt away your stress and free yourself from pain. Deanna Homan of Way of Life Wellness right here on 1150 AM KKNW.